Check it out, everybody. It's the new Wurkkos HD02. This thing is not even released yet, so if you have any questions about it and you're wanting to get it figured out before it releases, please hit me up in the comments and I'll do my best to answer your questions and let you know about it before it's released. So let's go over this thing. First of all, it's pretty chunky for what it's doing. It's a big light, but it packs a lot of features, so kind of to be expected. Let's look it over and find out why it's so big. First, I'll go ahead and start down here. You have some little thread action, so that way you could mount this on something. It doesn't include anything for you to do that with, so you'd be on your own figuring that out and mounting it onto a tripod or whatever, but at least it has that option. There's also a really powerful magnet in there. It can mount to stuff and hang out horizontally with all this weight. That's pretty impressive. They did a good job putting a big enough magnet. You know, it's not doing the slide thing where it's sliding down the refrigerator or something. I can stick it to my truck or stick it to whatever metal. It comes with a 21700 battery. I did go ahead and charge the battery in here the first time with the Type-C charging. I usually, like I always say, I take my batteries out and charge them. So there's that 21700 that they include with it, and it charged up fine. I wanted to make sure that it would and that it could handle it. It did really well. And there's the Type-C charging over here. Show you what that looks like, little port, and it's covered pretty well. It's not been flopping open or anything like that. Then, you know, for the rest of the time, I'm going to start taking the battery out and charging it outside, because I kind of like to cycle my batteries. The other thing that I want to show you all is this clip. When I first got it, it was so tight. Some people may like it like that, but it was seriously going to rip my shorts pocket off. Like, I wasn't going to have a pocket if I was to use it the way it was. So I had to loosen up on it. I went ahead and did the trick where you know, raise it up, and I slid some stuff. I literally just used like a Lego block. Seriously, stuck a Lego block under there and kind of let it just slowly stretch out, and then real carefully used like a protected screwdriver. You know, I didn't want to scratch anything up, and just kind of real carefully just kind of bent up on that area right there. Once this was raised up for about half a day, and now it's much better. Like, it's still pretty stiff, as you can see. It's not just going to go flying out of my pocket, but I'm also going to get to keep my pockets, so that's pretty cool. That was just mine. Who knows, maybe everybody else's won't be super tight like that, but that was just something that I had to do because I wanted to be able to retrieve it easily and put it back in the pocket. So we have this selector, like rotary selector here, where you can kind of rotate it around and get some different options. So you have 3 different options. The first one is going to be the ultraviolet. We can go ahead and press that, and you see your green indicator light come on, so that way you know your battery's doing good. When I was charging, it was red, then it turned to green. So there's ultraviolet. You have 2 modes. You have high and low, and you just simply hold down on the button to get where you want to be on that. You can go ahead and change it up, and notice how it went from ultraviolet to the main LED. That's the main white light that you're going to get off of this thing, and it has ramping. So then you just hold down on the button, ramp it to where you need to be. At any time you can double press for turbo, and the button is a little bit stiff. It's a little bit like you really got to get after it, but that's okay, because then it's not accidentally turning on in my pocket. Speaking of that, it does have a lockout feature where you can go ahead and press it 4 times and lock it out. I haven't been using that since the button is pretty hard to activate. I've not found it turned on in my pocket, so cool to have the option of the lockout though. And then at any time you can triple press for strobe. There's that option, and it doesn't have anything else. Like, you can't get to a beacon or an SOS or anything like that. Just pretty straightforward on the strobe. And then finally we have the green laser. And the other thing that I want to share with you all with this green laser is when I first got this, for whatever reason, when I turned it on, that green laser was not the perfect little green dot that you see on my hand right there. It had a little bit of artifact, and what's crazy is after using it for a time, it's actually cleaned up. I didn't have to clean the lens or anything. I mean, I checked the lens, it was perfectly clean, and it still had the artifact. And then after like a day of use and just playing around with it, I just noticed that it was just cleaned up. So I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced anything like that, like a break-in period of a laser. I don't know, maybe something was in there and it moved out of the way. Who knows? But I'm happy that it looks so good now, because at first it had like some stuff like streaking off of that green dot there, you know, and now it's just nice and clean. Looks really good. It's just 3 milliwatts, so it's not like gonna, you know, pop a balloon or anything crazy like that. It gets out there, you can kind of see it in the daytime. So I'm happy with that, you know, at least it's not like a red laser where you can't even see it in the daytime. And then here's the other really cool feature about this. I was actually using this last night when we were doing a little bit of hammock camping. The lights are all off right now. Notice no mashing of a button or anything like that. And you can just raise these wings up right here and then automatically have light come on. Really cool. Check that out. So I was using this, I put this up in a tree last night, and I went ahead and stepped it on up and had light emitting down where we were hanging out, reading and everything, and it was a good amount of light, and it was cool that I was able to pull this out of my pocket and do that. There's some instructions on the side here. So for flood, if you wind up doing what I did there where you just kind of hold down on it, you can adjust the light level. Well, you can also adjust the tint by doing a press and then another press and hold. You can adjust the tint, and I'll show you what 6500K looks like. And then I go the other direction. I go all the way down here. That's where I was last night, and that was just so nice. Easy on the eyes. It was just nice, a nice neutral tint. Really cool, really nice feature, and I enjoyed having that type of light casting down where we were camping last night. It looked really good. The one thing that I would recommend, you know, is like other people have talked about where these could like pivot around, so that way you can kind of angle the light straight toward where you're looking right now, you know, straight toward the camera. And then the only other thing that my personal preference would be for this ultraviolet to just go ahead and be a deep red, like SST20 deep red, because I don't use ultraviolet much. So that's just my personal preference. There may be some people out there that love UV because they're doing stuff with it all the time. I just don't. So if that had been deep red, like this light would just be complete. But it's still cool, really, really good little light, and I'm enjoying carrying it. And I'm gonna, you know, we will use the ultraviolet some. I mean, I guess like when you're out in the woods, you can be looking for some. We find these little bugs and stuff, not necessarily scorpions, but you can even find some like little millipedes that light up with the ultraviolet. So they're fun for exploring, but I just know that I would use the red a lot more, so didn't want to down it too much, but just letting my opinion be known. And then, you know, the other opinion was the clip had to be raised up and like bent out, so that way it doesn't rip your pockets out. And then the other thing was that laser, it cleaning itself up, whatever that was all about. Just things for you all to know, you know. I mean, if anybody's going to be getting this light, you want to know what's going on with it. Let's get it out in the dark and see what it looks like. Now it got dark, and we're starting out on the lowest setting of that main emitter. And we'll just go ahead and ramp it up just a little bit, not much. And you already have plenty of light to look around, see what you want to see. We'll ramp it up a little bit more. Good bit of light. And at any time we can double press. Go ahead and hit that turbo. Look at all that light. That is not bad. Now I want to compare this to pretty much the only thing that I have in this platform, and it's going to be the Olight Ultra Arcfeld. Let me confirm. They've got so many versions of this thing. Yeah, Arcfeld Ultra. Okay, so I was calling it wrong. It's the Arcfeld Ultra, and I just want to show you all how that HD02 by Wurkkos just has a ton more throw. That Arcfeld over on the right hand side, it's neutral. I did score a neutral tint. They had a 4000K and I grabbed it, but it's just all flood. Like all you get is flood out of it. Whereas with the Wurkkos over there on the left, you get a good bit more throw, and I really like that. I like having some throw that you can get out there. That's both of them up on turbo, just confirming. And you get the best of both worlds over there on the left. Little throw, nice bit of spill, good bit of difference there. I really appreciate that. Let's see what else this Wurkkos can handle. What else can it do? Let's go find out. It's really good at finding cats. If I wind up switching over to the green laser, it won't chase it though. It's not interested. That's alright. I think that it's probably a little too bright in the dark. It might chase it in the daytime. Let's get out here, kind of in the relative area where we're doing our hammock camping, and I'll show you all what these side lights can do. This is our spot, deeper out here in the woods where we go camping, hanging out, and I've got that one little wing turned up a little bit higher on purpose, just kind of casting out a little bit of light out there, so that way you're seeing any roots or whatever, you're not tripping walking through that area over there, but it's not like, you know, right in your eyes. And then I had this one turned down just a little bit so that way you could see out here to read. It's a cool little feature. And then at one point I had it hanging up in a tree like this right here, and it was just casting a nice warm light down into the area where we were hanging out, and that was just perfect. I mean, you could turn it up a little bit more if you needed to, but don't want to really spoil your night vision. So you got that nice warm 3000K coming off of both of those wings right there, sending some light down. That was really cool. Nice feature. Alright, and this part is going to be totally staged, guys, so just bear with me. But I wanted to show you all what this UV is good for, and that is for finding strontium aluminate. So check that out. That's a bunch of little pucks that we made with some strontium aluminate. You can find this stuff, it's like a mineral, and we get this mineral powder, and then we build these little pucks with resin. You mix the powder in, you can find out how to do it online, and it reacts with any light, but the cool thing is it reacts with ultraviolet light a little bit more intensely, and it like charges it up. So then these will glow for about 2 hours, a lot longer than your standard just glow in the dark technology. So I really like this stuff. It's cool if there's a power outage or whatever. So now I've turned the light off completely, and I'm just showing you all what that ultraviolet light is capable of. So I will use it. I was saying earlier, you know, I'd prefer to have the red, but for what this is pretty cool too, because then you can charge your strontium aluminate up, and not use any light at all. You got those, you set those around, you got a lot of light, or not a lot, but you know, just a soft glow. You can see Rosie the cat checking them out there, you know. She wanted to know what's going on. But anyway, like I said, that was staged. Not a lot of strontium illuminate out in the world, just been hanging out. Here's a quick size comparison just in case you have one of these others and you can get an idea of the size of this HD02. Now you can see why that HD02 throws a little bit further compared to that O-Light that we were looking at last night. Thanks again for watching.